Parents have had enough. More and more schools are implementing mask mandates. And because of this, we are seeing protests erupt across the country as parents demand that these schools stop forcing their children to wear masks. In one instance in Tennessee, a very large and raucous group was seen yelling at school board members and officials. And they even yelled, "We know where you live," making that veiled threat. It escalated in one area where a parent saw their child wearing a mask leaving the school, became irate, started yelling at the principal. When a teacher came to intervene, the parent and that teacher got into a fight, and the teacher was left with some minor injuries, meaning the parent was just like, "No, you're not going to do this." Now, this is really interesting. For those that aren't familiar with the Timcast IRL show, or maybe you don't watch it, I had Steve Bannon on the show. And of course, we're talking about the state of this country. We're talking about potential fracturing of the states or some kind of civil war. And Steve Bannon said something that I hadn't considered. It's the parents. It's the mothers. He said, come August 15th, when the parents see what these schools are doing to their children, there will be a revolt. All hell will break loose, or something to that effect. And I think we're learning that he was correct. Now, to what extent these parents will continue to protest, I don't know. But man, I've been following the story because all right, let's see if Steve Bannon's correct on this one. And I think he is. I've got, I think, like 8 or 9 stories pulled up for you already of all of these different protests erupting across the country. Now, this is not necessarily indicative of a greater movement. It could only be 9 counties where parents are protesting. One guy got into a fight with a teacher. One guy yelled some kind of veiled threat at an official. It doesn't necessarily mean that out of the 100,000 or so schools, we're going to see parents across the board rise up. But I think it does suggest that Steve Bannon was correct. I think we'll need to see a lot more protest and a lot more revolt, I guess, in a lighter sense from parents, if he is to be truly 100% correct. But I think he's got a point. You see, when it comes to critical race applied principles, right? CRT in schools, a lot of people don't know what's happening. When it comes to these mask mandates and restrictions, a lot of people don't know what's happening. But now with the new school year set to start, they're going to get a cold splash of water in the face, as it were, when their children come home distressed or despondent, when they learn what's happening to their children. I think you're going to see a lot of angry parents saying no to this. Now, Bannon's point was that the French Revolution, you didn't see much until the women came out of the homes and actually got involved. And he thinks it's going to be the moms seeing their children being abused, as some of these parents have claimed, and that's going to lead to something bigger, a bigger pushback. I hope so. Because now we're seeing 4 cities institute mandatory vaccination. You want to go inside a cafe or a restaurant or a gym or a store, you got to have your vaccine passport. That's like New Orleans. I think it's New York, San Francisco. I'm not sure what the other city might be, but I believe it's 4. I believe it's 4. Now, this is worrisome because some people can't get it, the vaccine. But it's more worrisome because it's a step towards despotism, authoritarianism. Who are these school officials to defy the will of the parents who are coming and saying no to this? Why, after hearing from all of these parents saying we don't want this, do you simply still say we don't care, we defy you? It's actually come to the point where in a few instances, parents have held parallel meetings rejecting the authority of these individuals who are defying what the parents actually want. Who installed these many tyrants? Now, look, I think we should be following the science to the best of our abilities. Whatever that means, I think it means more than what you get from the media. The science is more than just some establishment narrative or Dr. Fauci. I think we have to do our best. I think COVID is serious. I think the vaccine absolutely helps. But I think authoritarianism is the wrong approach, and it's making people angry. But I think there's a solution here, and I think it's school choice. The parents should be able to just get their money back and decide where it should go. They should find a school that works for them. The problem, even in places like Florida, where Ron Desantis is saying we're not going to have mandates, the schools are saying, so what? We're going to do it anyway. And now it's going to court. Well, so long as the parents keep coming out angry, we might actually have some hope for a positive change. We'll see, though. But let's get into the first story. We do have the story about the Florida judge, but I want to get started with what's happening with these protests. Now, before we do get started, head over to timcast.com, become a member, and you will get an advertisement-free experience. You will help support our journalists, and you will get access to the Timcast IRL members segment. I want to let you guys in on a secret. We don't make direct revenue for the most part off of all of the journalism we're doing yet. And so really it is kind of a loss leader. It's something I believe in and want to do. I want to have people who write good stories, real news. We're launching a fact checking division. We don't need to do that. We want to do that. So I'm not expecting to make a ton of money off of our news division. I think it will work. I think it'll be a sustainable business. And I think you as a member are what's going to support and sustain that. So consider it this. When you become a member, you're effectively paying into a system where you're going to have real journalists doing the real work. And we're going to be launching an independent fact-checking organization. So make sure you go to timcast.com, be a member. But don't forget to like, share, subscribe to this channel. Let's read the news. The first, and probably why you clicked this story, from NBC News. Parent attacks teacher after mask dispute on first day of school in California district, official says. The teacher suffered lacerations on his face, some bruising on his face, and a pretty good knot on the back of his head, the Amador County Unified School District superintendent said. The incident occurred about an hour after the first day ended at Sutter Creek Elementary in Amador County, NBC affiliate KCRA of Sacramento reported. In a letter to families, Amador County Unified School District Superintendent Tori Gibson wrote, as the first day of school comes and goes, there are always hiccups along the way, especially during this trying time. Unfortunately, a parent took it upon himself to verbally assault a principal that led to a serious physical altercation between him and a teacher as the teacher intended to protect the principal, she wrote. Gibson told KCRA that the fight started when a parent who was frustrated with the school's mask mandate saw his daughter walk out of the building with a face covering. After the parent got into an argument with the principal, a male teacher intervened, the superintendent said. The situation escalated into a physical fight, leaving the teacher bleeding, according to Gibson. The teacher suffered lacerations, and this we read. It was unclear if the parent sustained any injuries, but he was banned from being on campus. All students in the Amador County Unified School District are required to wear a mask while indoors unless they have a medical exemption, according to the California Department of Public Health and the school district's policy. The American Academy of Pediatrics and the CDC previously recommended that all children wear masks when they return to school this year. Do you remember now when I warned you this would happen? We talked about how the CDC said all schools must mandate this. I said, I think Bannon will be proven right on this one. Parents are going to flip out. This, my friends, hopefully, I don't know. This is beyond reproach. There's no reason to attack somebody over this. You got to take responsibility for your life. You can't just demand the school do these things. I mean, look, it's tough. These are public institutions. We need school choice. This, in my opinion, will alleviate the pressure. Don't attack people like this. It proves you wrong. It gives them all of the propaganda they need and want. You see your kid looking like this, you take your kid and you go. And you find a better school, one it's better for your children. Now, the problem is a lot of families can't afford to pay for private schooling. And part of it is because they pay taxes that go and fund these schools. Parents should have a say in this. They say, in her letter, Gibson said assaulting a staff member will never be tolerated on any school campus, adding that mask mandates are forever changing, so understanding current requirements is critical. We are not the ones making the rules and mandates, she wrote. We are the ones required to follow and enforce them if we want to keep our doors open and students at school 5 days a week. The incident was the latest example of the nationwide debate over the school mask mandates reaching a boiling point. On Tuesday, angry protests erupted in Franklin, Tennessee, after the Williamson County Board of Education reinstated a mask mandate for elementary school students, with some people yelling at and heckling those wearing masks. All right, let's get into all this. First, we have from CNN yesterday. Parents clash at mask mandate protest in Georgia County, where fifth graders were sent home. The protests come a day after fifth graders at Eastside Elementary in Cobb were sent home because of high numbers of COVID-19 cases, according to a school district email sent to parents and obtained by CNN. It's not just in this instance. This is why I'm showing. It's not just parents saying no masks. You actually have parents saying yes masks. Look at this. Be the solution. Require masks. One woman holding up a sign saying moms for masks. Protesters shouted chants over each other. You are not my kid's parent. No more mandates. No more masks. These are my kids, not yours. Parents also chanted mandate masks to protect our kids. Educate the ignorant. And no more mask signs read my child, my choice. I mean, people are not just going to sit by. Now, This is interesting because it's not the only story where we see the kind of divide. Parents have been kind of split on this one. But over in Tennessee, yikes, man. From NBC Connecticut, we will find you. Tennessee parents protest school mask mandate, people in masks heckled. One man was caught on video following a person to their car saying, "You'll never be allowed in public again." Wow. Parents are not having none of this, man. You may have seen the story because I covered it before. But basically, the gist of it is there was a meeting. People were yelling. People tried to leave the building. The sheriff had to come and escort them. But my friends, it has only escalated since then. Check this out. Parents protest against school mandate in Chino School District. They say parents in Chino took to the streets to protest against the recent mask mandate for schools in the Chino Valley Unified School District. Some parents say the children should have the choice as to whether they want to wear masks, saying that the masks affect their children's health and social interactions at school. This was back on August 10th. We have this. Fulton County parents protest school mask mandate from just 13 hours ago. Tensions ran high outside a Fulton County school board meeting. A large group of parents showed up in opposition to the school's mask mandate. While there were a couple of people in the crowd who supported the district's mask policy, the majority of the people were against mandating masks. How about this one? Parents demand mask mandate at Cobb County schools. This is Cobb County in Atlanta. We also have another story. My Child, My Choice. CCSD parents protest masks for K through 12 students in Las Vegas. With signs in hand, hundreds of Clark County School District parents gathered outside the school district building to protest mask guidelines. My friends, parents are starting to get riled up. They are coming out. They're too young right now. Group of District 303 parents rally against mask mandates in suburban Chicago. Here we have WAPT. Parents protest at Rankin County School Board meeting on new mask mandate. This is incredible. Across the country, my friends. Now, I'll tell you where things go from here. As parents come out and say no, and many places like in Florida, like DeSantis says, we will not do this to children, we have Kentucky, of all places. Kentucky governor to school officials trying to skirt state's mask mandate. Good luck. What a bold and psychotic statement. Things are getting insane, man. And it's always something different. I remember we were talking about, Proud Boys and Antifa and intersectionality and wokeness and all that stuff. And it's only escalated now to this point where a governor is telling people who want to defy these mandates, good luck. From the Hill, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear wished officials who were considering defying a recent statewide mask mandate in schools good luck and vowed the state would hold them accountable. When someone gets hurt, and they will, if you're refusing to do the right thing, good luck, Beshear said Thursday, according to the AP. I think you'll be held accountable. It's amazing. Kentucky, of all places. What did we hear from Rand Paul? Rand Paul made a video coming out telling people to resist because they can't arrest us all. It's a clear distinction between the two different factions, I suppose. Now, establishment Republicans, for the most part, do nothing. Meanwhile, Democrats tell you the cudgel is waiting. If you want to defy what we have to say, the authorities will come. The Republicans go, slow down there, Democrats. Amazing leadership from people like Mitch McConnell, mind you, in Kentucky as well. On Tuesday, Beshear issued an executive order requiring that all staff, students, and guests in child care centers, preschools, and K through 12 schools had to wear facial coverings inside, regardless of vaccination status. The state's Board of Education approved the mandate on Thursday. In his executive order, he pointed to a high hospitalization rate and a surge of COVID-19 cases, as well as masking guidance issued by the by the CDC. The executive order stated that on Friday, that Kentucky reported 2,612 new COVID cases, 976 hospitalizations. By comparison, on July 6th, the state had reported 87 new COVID-19 cases and 198 hospitalizations. Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron has come out against mask mandates, but Beshear suggested that people do not realize the gravity of COVID-19 in Kentucky and elsewhere, the wire service reported. Those that are criticizing, none of them talk about how serious the virus is, Beshear said. None of them are talking about how serious the Delta variant is. None of them are talking about hospitalizations, and none of them, when they get a microphone, are saying, please get vaccinated. That means they're sowing at least misinformation or confusion. It means they don't want you mandating what they have to do with their lives. You are here to serve the people. The people are not here to bend to your will. I suppose, though, what we're seeing is the split between libertarian and authoritarian. Here we have more protests, but this one is interesting because I started with this. I'll end off with this one. St. John's County parent protest call for mask mandate for students and teachers. You see, that's interesting. I started with showing you there's a split. In some instances, the parents are protesting each other, but we're getting a wave of parents saying no. But we do have at least one story I could find where they're saying masks keep kids safe and schools open, and they're demanding mask mandates. Interesting. I'll say this. Now, over in Florida, Ron Desantis has banned mask mandates. He has mandated no mask mandates, saying you can't do it. We have this from the interim Florida superintendent saying she will continue to defy DeSantis' order on masks. Broward County Public Schools interim superintendent Vicki Cartwright said that her school board is sticking with its decision to uphold a mask requirement despite Ron DeSantis' executive orders on masks. DeSantis is threatening to withhold school officials' salaries if they defy his order, directing states' health and education departments to issue rules preventing the implementation of school mask mandates. Quote, "My core value is students first. No amount of personal financial loss will cause me to go against this value. No amount of money can compare to a person's life or the impact that this virus may have on a person or their family," Cartwright said on CNN's New Day. The Broward County School Board voted Tuesday to maintain the school district's mask mandate. Local decisions such as this allow for responsiveness and the immediate needs for local and very real situations. It wasn't an easy decision for them to make, but I know at the heart of every one of our board members that are making a decision that they feel is right to keep the health and safety of our students and our community, she said. Now, here's what's funny. When the government says you can't do this, the school boards go, oh, but we have to, so we're going to anyway. In these other places where parents are protesting, they're saying, we're not, it's not us, they're making us do it. These people are liars. They are authoritarians and despots. And Ron DeSantis' challenge is now making its way to the courts. This is the first story I had pulled up. Click Orlando says, Florida judge hears challenge of DeSantis' school mask mandate ban. Governor Ron DeSantis' ban on mandatory school mask policies faces a challenge in a Tallahassee courtroom on Friday afternoon. Leon County Circuit Judge John Cooper is scheduled to hear a lawsuit brought by parents from several large school districts who are asking that limits be lifted on mandatory masking as children across Florida are returning to school. DeSantis has repeatedly said it should be up to parents to decide. The lawsuit says the mask ban violates Florida's constitution, which grants power solely to local school boards to operate, control, and supervise classes within their districts. The parents also claim that while it may be safe to operate schools in some areas of the state without masks, it is not safe to do so in crisis areas of Florida, which includes Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, St. Petersburg, West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, and Miami. The parents who brought the lawsuit are from Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, Orange, Alachua, Hillsborough, and Pinellas counties. In some counties, students and teachers who returned to classrooms only days ago are already under a quarantine. In Palm Beach County, officials said they ended the second day of classes with 440 students sent home to quarantine because of 51 cases detected among staff members and students. Orange County's school system reported 333 total cases after classes began this week, with 20 teachers and 39 students quarantined. I want you to be aware of things, though. While I certainly think we can do a good job to keep our kids safe, we got to track the data. We got to look at what the CDC is actually saying and not just have a blind reaction demanding a uniform policy that doesn't make sense for everybody. And that does include mask mandates. I think Ron DeSantis coming out and saying putting a ban on mask mandates in schools probably leans towards the right decision. But I do think if there's an emergency area and a school wants to implement some emergency policies, I don't know what you do, to be completely honest. The challenge right now is that if you don't trust the government, you'll say no to these things. If you do trust the government, you'll say yes to these things. And if you're just in the middle trying to understand what's happening, it's tough. Even the frontline coalition of doctors, the people who have advocated for alternative treatments, have recommended masks. Now, for children, this is where I think it's ultimately got to come down to what the parents want. And that's where it gets weird. In these very heavy Democrat districts where you've got parents who want the mask mandates, I'm not going to tell them not to do it. I mean, people should raise their kids as they would like to. But that means that other parents who are defying these things, who are protesting, should have a right to take their children somewhere else. That means we need school choice. But you got to watch out for the propaganda. Take a look at this story. It's going far and wide from CBS Local. 4 Broward County educators lose battle with COVID in less than 24 hours. Now, this story's sad. I'm sad to hear that there are people who have lost their lives. But the headline that you're seeing across the board just says 4 teachers lose their lives as DeSantis, asserts ban on mask mandates. You want to know why this is funny propaganda? School hasn't started yet. There you go. School hasn't started yet. These teachers were not in school. They did not contract COVID from schools. So sure, you can always make an argument, well, hey, but what if these teachers had COVID and went to school? What if some other teachers have COVID and go to school? Take a test, I guess. I don't know what to say. A lot of people mention also that 3 of the individuals who died were unvaccinated, and one person, they're not sure the vaccine status. It's a tough decision. I actually think it's fine for schools. I've said this before. I guess a lot of people don't like it. I think it's fine that schools mandate vaccines. Yes, I do. I also think before you can do anything like that, you've got to give parents their money back. I do. If you want to force someone to pay into a system, they get a say. And if they say no, well, then so be it. But I think we've seen in many circumstances, vaccines doing a wonderful job. The risks are relatively low, but regardless of what I think, I can't tell you how to raise your kids. So if you have kids and you want to make decisions for them, that has nothing to do with me. And so I can't stand by a system that would take your money from you and then tell you you have no say in the matter. Sorry, that doesn't work that way. If you as a school want to mandate masks or vaccines or anything like that, give the parents their tax money back. Let them go where they want to go or homeschool. They should not be paying for something they have no say in. Taxation without representation. How's that for America? Hey, what's that, DC? They say taxation without representation as well. Hey, I get it. Yeah. I guess DC is a federal jurisdiction, though, so I think they have like non-voting delegates or whatever. That's a different subject. I'll tell you this. If a parent says, I don't want my kid to do this, hand them their money back and send them on their way. But you know what? In the bigger picture, outside of all this, I want to make sure we keep our eyes on the prize. Critical race applied principles is also playing a big role in this uprising. Parents have been protesting for some time now. It's not just about mask mandates. It's also about critical race theory in schools, which there is. First, let me just show you this story from the Daily Mail. Others should follow me. Teacher who quit her job in critical race theory row says her former colleague should follow her out the door, and reveals she has a new job at a private school after being inundated with offers. This is why we must have school choice, so that we don't force people to fund these ridiculous programs like critical race applied principles. This teacher quit her job, and she's fine. People said, come work for us. Fine, get out of there. That's good news. This is a teacher telling you critical race theory is in schools. It's called critical race praxis when it's implemented in schools, or critical race applied principles, CRAP or CRP, whatever you want to call it. Let me show you how it manifests. This story, man, from the Atlanta Black Star. It was just disbelief. Parent files complaint against Atlanta Elementary School after learning the principal segregated students based on race. This one boils my blood. These people are psychotic. They are lying every day. We have morons in media telling you it's not happening, and it's happening in front of our faces. Despot, cultist, authoritarian ideologues are segregating your children on racial lines. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. An Atlanta mom filed a federal complaint against her daughter's Atlanta Elementary School after she learned the school was separating students on the basis of race. In the discrimination complaint filed with the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights, parent Kyla Posey claims the principal at Mary Lynn Elementary School, a K-5 school in Atlanta, put a segregation policy in place because she thought it was best for all students. I'm sorry, man. This is getting me real angry. Posey found out last year that the elementary school would be putting black students in 2 different classrooms and with different teachers, and white students into 6 classrooms with 6 different teachers. Posey protested the policy when it was allegedly put in place by Principal Sharon Briscoe last year. First, it was just disbelief that I was having this conversation in 2020 with a person that looks just like me, a black woman. It's segregating classrooms. You cannot segregate classrooms. You can't do it. And they're getting away with it, and they're saying, so sue me. These scumbags, man, what they're doing to these kids. I hope Bannon was right that parents are going to stand up to this stuff. I really, really do. I really hope he was right. Posey, who is vice president of operations for the Parent Teacher Association, according to the school website, first learned of the separation after she contacted Briscoe to request that her daughter be placed in a specific classroom with a certain teacher. Briscoe replied by saying that would not work because the teacher's classroom wasn't for black students, Posey claims. She said, "That's not one of the black classes." And I immediately said, "What does that mean?" I was confused. I asked for more clarification. I was like, "We have those in school?" And she proceeded to say, "Yes, I have decided that I'm going to place all of the black students in 2 classes. According to Shields, Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 says you cannot treat one group of people differently based upon race, and that is what is going on at Mary Lynn. Posey pushed for her daughter not to be placed in segregated classrooms. I explained to her she shouldn't be isolated or punished because I'm unwilling to go along with your illegal and unethical practice." This is critical race applied principles. It's not that they're reading Kimberly Crenshaw or Derek Bell. And they are. I mean, let's be real. They are in a lot of schools. But in this instance, it's about them taking those teachings. Derek Bell opposed desegregating schools. He said, we should have just made the segregated schools better. That to me is insane. But this is what happens when these teachings make their way to your children. It's frustrating, man. I'm glad to see all these parents rising up and standing up, and I think that's cause for optimism. This video should not be left on a sour note. It should not be left on a negative tone, but it should be this kind of news. It should invigorate you. It should light a fire under you figuratively. It should rally the troops figuratively. It should rally parents to say, I will not stand by as they do these things to children. And I think it is. We've seen parents waking up to what's going on. And this may bring about very serious change in electoral politics. If there's one thing that may actually bring about an end to the insane wokeness, is that they finally crossed the line for regular parents. Now, as for the standard democratic authoritarian, or despotism like policies over mask mandates and things like that, show us your papers and whatnot, wear your mask, I think that's also making parents very angry. We're a nation, a culture built upon defiance. We are the descendants of those who would defy the authority, the crown. Our culture was built upon that to a great extent. Though there has always been a large portion of people in this country who have always said their loyalty is to the authority no matter what. Fortunately for us in the original colonies, our leaders were those who said, we reject these ideas. We reject your authority. It is ill-gotten. And they had kids, and they told those stories, and they made a Bill of Rights, and they passed down their history. Far from perfect, I get it, but we've improved greatly because of these ideas of defying the authority. The left used to be all about protesting the machine. Now they're raging on its behalf. They're coming out with slogans and spray painting them, but it's the same thing you see at Amazon and Walmart. Where's the defiance? Where's the punk rock? Oh, I'm sorry. The punk bands are all in line with the establishment, bought and paid for. But maybe it'll be parents. You can't count on the rebels, I suppose, but you can count on people to get mad when their kids are being put in these situations and abused. And I'll tell you this, segregating children based on race is the most vile and disgusting child abuse and racial abuse I have ever seen. These people are evil people. My family fought hard for civil rights, 2 generations. Admittedly, my grandparents' generation, it was much harder because it was outright illegal to have for my mom and her family to exist. My grandparents weren't even allowed to live together under the laws of this country. Identitarian rule. It's fascinating. Much of the arguments during civil rights were that, but private businesses can do what they want. Oh, but these restaurants, they're private establishments. They can associate. It's the First Amendment. You can't force them to serve somebody. And guess what? We won that one. We said, no, you have to accommodate the public. So I'm actually confident. It was the activists back then fighting for this. Today, what we consider to be the activist base, typically the left, they're in favor of the establishment and the private corporation, the massive multi-billion-dollar multinational corporations. They're in favor of all that. The people who have won in the past, and I think will win, are those who say we have responsibilities to each other within reason to protect individual rights. And that doesn't mean that you can force people to wear masks. That's kind of the opposite. It means that we have to respect individuals from discrimination. And that means if someone has a medical exemption, they shouldn't have to be forced to present their papers. So I'm confident that we can pull through on this one, and it's going to require the parents standing up, standing tall, and defying this racist insanity. I don't know though. I'm confident we're succeeding in a certain sense, but it's not like this culture war is going to end anytime soon. And while we may make some gains, so does the cultural authoritarians. So does the uniparty and the establishment. They've got power, they've got resources, and it's Republicans and Democrats. So it's going to require a lot of people to say, I refuse, I reject, I will not comply. But within reason, to be honest. Look, if I see somebody wearing a mask, I'm not going to yell at them. Thank you for if you're sick, good, wear your mask. If people want to get vaccinated, I think vaccines are very, very safe and effective. I genuinely believe that. I looked at the numbers. I just think it's up to you to make the decision, not me. So I can think whatever I want. This is the way it's supposed to be, right? This is the way it's supposed to be with the traditional liberals in this country. I think people should go to their doctors and get the appropriate advice. And I think typically the doctor would advise you a vaccine for most people. But I believe in freedom. I believe in you making the choice that's right for you. And I'll take care of myself on my end because the world is the way it is. I'd love it if everybody worked together towards a collective goal, but I have no authority over you. This is the way it should be. If you disagree with me, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I'm gonna let you do your thing and I'll mind my own business. You want to go smoke? I won't stand next to you. I'm not going to take your cigarette away. That's what people do, I guess. Well, I'll leave it here. Hopefully the parents come out in mass more. And I think in the next few days, we may see that. Next segment's coming up at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.